He was always very silly with me, but sweet and very kind.
Lynn Samarigo's husband should still be enjoying life with his wife and 2 kids.
We were married for 20 years.
Lynn is facially blind. Her husband was her everything.
Always very sweet. Actually, I can't remember any day that he didn't give me like a kiss on the forehead or something like that.
He was only 42 years old when he died in January last year, and his death is being blamed on a paramedic who worked for Allegiance Mobile Health. They provide ambulance service here in Pflugerville, just north of Austin.
They had a death on their watch, and it was negligence.
The city of Pflugerville hired Allegiance Mobile Health to provide ambulance services in the area. Perkins says his crews have run into problems with Allegiance paramedics out in the field.
John was putting together a car seat for our youngest. That's whenever he got really dizzy and fell.
Samarigo did what we all would do. She called for help.
He was unresponsive. I came downstairs and I called 911.
But she didn't like the way the Allegiance ambulance crew was dealing with her husband when they got there.
The way that they treated him, because he had bad teeth, they assumed that he was on drugs. At least based off of the questions that they were giving me. And they did not listen to me.
We now know from this state investigation that a paramedic named Hiram Ortega botched the rescue, putting in a breathing tube after sedating John Samarigo.
Either failure of training, failure of equipment. They had a death in this city.
The autopsy report said he died from improper emergency medical therapy.
Paramedics responded to a call where a man hit his head and needed medical care. The man later died. The autopsy report found further investigation revealed that the series of steps taken by the primary medic led to his death.
We also know from another document created by firefighters with ESD2 that just a week earlier, they had witnessed that same Allegiance paramedic trying to improperly sedate another patient who was having a diabetic seizure. Luckily, he didn't die. The state took away Ortega's license, and there is an ongoing criminal investigation.
Somebody died on your watch, and this may all go back to training again. So it concerns me quite a bit.
But we checked. We can't find any evidence the city of Pflugerville ever bothered to do its own investigation of John Samarigo's death or the training of Allegiance paramedics. Instead, they gave the company a new 4-year contract this May with a raise. Lynn couldn't believe that happened.
Hiring a private ambulance company that does not meet the same standards is part of the reason why my husband died.
A few months after Samarigo's death, a representative from the ambulance company appeared before Pflugerville City Council.
I cannot comment on that incident.
We've been investigating ambulance companies all over Texas, starting in Port Arthur, exposing Acadian Ambulance for falsifying their response time records. And a comment at one of those Pflugerville City Council meetings, well, it caught our attention.
The average response time is 6 minutes and 45 seconds.
The Allegiance contract requires they arrive in less than 7 minutes and 59 seconds on 90% of their calls. We looked at their own records from March of this year. The average was more than 9 minutes. And it wasn't a fluke. The records show they aren't meeting the response time requirements most months. And the director of the city's emergency services knows it.
But that doesn't meet the 8 minutes, right?
That's correct. It does not meet the metric of the 90% for all calls.
But the city never punished Allegiance for violating the contract they agreed to.
Hey, if you want us to hit that metric at that consistency of a level, then we're going to need more ambulances.
This is your last chance, council.
Last May, the majority of Pflugerville City Council decided to extend Allegiance's contract instead of going back to using paramedics from ESD2, which still provides ambulance service for the areas around Pflugerville. Allegiance was cheaper, but there were warnings.
I am concerned, overly concerned, that the services provided by Allegiance are subpar.
But it was Pflugerville City Councilman Jim McDonald who really stuck his foot in his mouth, talking about the death of John Samarigo.
If I go out and buy a new set of tires, Pirellis or Goodyears or whatever your Yokohama, whatever your favorite set of tires is, and I'm driving down the road and I get a blowout, a flap, does that mean that all those tires are bad? Or does that mean that one tire was bad? And so I get that there was an incident that happened. That paramedic, that person's no longer on staff at Allegiance.
Mr. McDonald, thank you for comparing my life to a tire.
I did not compare your life to a
Yes,
tire.
sir, you did.
Maybe the Pflugerville City Council should take a closer look at those Allegiance response time records, because we did. Remember, in Port Arthur, we found response times from Acadian ambulance that simply defied logic. Ambulances claiming they arrived on 911 scenes within seconds. It skewed the overall response time numbers. So we began to look at the raw data Allegiance turned into the city of Pflugerville. In January of this year, Allegiance reported it took just 6 seconds to get to an unconscious person call. 6 seconds. The company reported it took just 13 seconds to arrive at a cardiac arrest. These are lightning fast response times, if they're true. Maybe Allegiance just got real lucky. But with 4 ambulances in a town of 65,000 people, well, I'm just a little suspicious. And we think there should be more investigations. And that's what we plan to do. Allegiance won't talk with us, and Lynn Samarigo, well, she's still waiting for her justice.
They are not trained to do emergency care. So I do not understand why Pflugerville is using them.
Holding on to the memories of a husband she lost far too early.
I am more in love with my husband today than when he died. I've lost the person that helps me navigate the world.